like the answers, and then just talk about like different strategies for taking the test as well. And I'm just going to record it so that I can put it up for the virtual students as well. So that's why you see when I'm on Zoom. Okay, so let me make sure I'm recording. Okay. So we have this passage here from The Hobbit. So the first thing that you're going to want to do when you get your test and when you get to the part with the passages is just to read through it. Even if it's a part that you remember, still read through it. We are going to take the in person, you're going to take the test on paper, so you can, underline stuff or circle stuff or what have you, okay? So this passage is from the Chip the Glasses song. So chip the glasses and crack the plates, blunt the knives and bend the forks. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. Smash the bottles and burn the corks. Cut the cloth and tread on the fat. Pour the milk on the pantry floor. Leave the bones on the bedroom mat. Splash the wine on every door. Dump the crocks in a boiling bowl. Pound them up with a thumping pole. And when you've finished, if any are whole, send them down the hall to roll. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. So carefully, carefully with the plates. Okay, so you'll read through the passage, okay, and then you'll look at the question. So whenever you are doing a multiple choice test, you always want to read the question first, read all of the answer choices, and then go back to the text and find what you think is the correct answer. So the first one says, in the context of the passage, Crocs means what? And then you have 5 options. Now on your final, you're only ever going to have 4 options. I've taken off all of the none of the above because I just don't really like that answer in general. I just think it's like meant to trick you, and I'm not trying to trick you. So there won't be any that are like none of the above in your actual final, okay? So if I'm looking for in the context of the passage, that means I need to go back to the passage and I need to look for where that is. Okay, and so if you see, it's the first line of the 3rd stanza, right? Dump the crocks in a boiling bowl. Okay, and so then I'm going to use the context around that to try to determine what it could mean. So I have lies, earthenware pots, spoons, or food. So what do we think the answer is? What? Food? What do you guys think? Any other ideas? You said spoons. Other ideas? Pots, right? I think probably pots makes the most sense because if you look at the context of what else they're talking about the glasses and the plates, right? I can see they do talk about knives and forks, so I can see where you're getting spoons. But they're really talking about like cracking, the plates and chipping the glasses, and we're talking about a bowl here. So I think earthenware pots would be the best answer there, B, because the whole song is about like breaking the plates, right? And so pots would be the closest thing to plates in that context. Okay, and so then number 2 then asks, what word in the passage best helps you understand the meaning of the word Crocs? Okay, and so you've got dump, pull, hates, and plates. So you should put D for number 2, right? Because that's what's telling us that we're talking about like different types of dinnerware, I guess you could say, right? Because we're talking about plates and glasses and such, okay? So make sure that like when you have questions like that, that your answer for 2 corresponds to your answer for 1. So like if you put food for 1, but then what from number 2 would tell you that it was food? Well, none of those really. So then that should give you a hint, okay, I need to go back and look at 1 because nothing makes sense for 2 in that context, okay? So use your answers on other parts of the test to help you on your multiple choice. Okay, number 3, I think is the hardest question on here. How does the repetition of exclamation marks affect the tone in the passage? So if you remember, tone is like the author or the narrator's attitude about what they're saying, okay? So there's all of these exclamation points, right? And what do we normally use exclamation points for? Like, what are you expressing if you're using an exclamation point? Okay, louder, right? More, like there's more emotion behind it, right? It's not just a period, right? A period is just like a normal ending of a sentence, but if we have an exclamation point, that's like, I can't talk, an exclamation point, that's more intense, it's more loud, right? It's more emotional. So does it make it funnier, more tragic? Does it add tension or make it scarier? Good. Yes, so it adds tension, right? Because it's like, it's just more intense, right? There's more emotion, it's louder, like you said, right? It's just like more energy to it, okay? I also can see how you would think A with like it makes it funnier because they're like excited and stuff like that. But C is the best answer. It adds tension because it's like adding more intensity to what they're saying, okay? I think that question is harder than the other tone questions on the final. So, but that's just to give you an idea of a tone question. Okay, number 4, who are the speakers in the passage? Yeah, it's just the dwarves, right? And so you don't have an answer that just says the dwarves. So it's E, none of the above. But like I said, I don't like none of the above questions, so none of them will have that on your final, okay? So you will always have an answer on your final because Gandalf is not part of the song. Okay, number 5, what motivates the speakers to sing this song? So here you're going to have to draw on some of your knowledge of the text as well as what you have in the exact passage, okay? So they enjoy breaking things, Bilbo's being so uptight, they want to show Bilbo how dangerous the journey will be, or they want to get back at Bilbo for not liking them. So on things like this, I like to eliminate ones that I just know absolutely for sure are not correct. So like which one for sure can we eliminate? Good. There's nothing in this song that indicates that the journey is going to be dangerous, right? So I can automatically cross C off because I know for sure that that's not going to be right. Okay. I feel like I can also mark D off. They want to get back at Bilbo for not liking them. I mean, he's like overwhelmed by them, but there's really no indication that he doesn't like them in this part of the text. So then that puts me down to Bilbo is being uptight or they enjoy breaking things. So now it's easier. I can just decide between 2 things instead of 4. So what do you think? Is it that they enjoy breaking things or is it Bilbo's being uptight? Good. It's B. It's Bilbo's being uptight, right? Because he's like so concerned, like, oh, don't break my stuff, right? And just like being really obnoxious, kind of, right? So the correct answer would be B. Bilbo is being so uptight. And that's why they're singing the song, kind of teasing him, right? Okay. Good. Number 6, considering the subject of the rest of the song, the final line, so carefully, carefully with the plates can be interpreted as sincere, mocking, hurtful, or arrogant. Okay, so how can we interpret the final line? And again, I think it's a great idea to go through and eliminate the ones that you know for sure do not make sense. So what do we think the correct answer is here? B, mocking. Everybody agree? Yeah. Okay, they're mocking him, right? Which again, if you look at your answer for 5 and you know that your answer for 5 is that he's being uptight, then that kind of helps you get a clue on 6, right? That, okay, if they think he's being uptight, then they're kind of mocking him, right? Versus if you had put A, they enjoy breaking things, well, then you might not think about that the same way. So just make sure that your answers kind of correspond to each other. Number 7, how does the passage help characterize the speakers? So remember, characterization is just like how the characters act, what type of people they are. So we've got, it shows them as flighty and untrustworthy, mean and hurtful, serious and humorless, and arrogant and greedy. And then we have none of the above. So what do you think on this one? None of the above, right? And so again, I'm not going to include none of the above on your final. I just don't like it. It just seems like it's tricking you for no reason, right? But you could go through and you could kind of eliminate these other options, right? They don't seem untrustworthy. The only one that I could kind of see is maybe mean and hurtful, but they aren't really doing it to be mean. They're just kind of teasing him. Certainly not humorless because they're like making a joke here. And there's nothing that indicates that they're greedy. So that would tell you that E is the best answer. Okay, number 8, how does the passage help characterize Bilbo? So again, what is the passage telling us about Bilbo? Okay, same answer choices. He's flighty and untrustworthy. He's mean and hurtful. He's serious and humorless. He's arrogant and greedy. Good, C, right? It shows him as serious and humorless because like he can't take a joke, right? Like they're joking around and he's like, oh my gosh, be careful with my plates. And so then they're like teasing him, right? In response, okay? Because he's like being so serious. And again, if you use your answers from before, where we talked about how he's being so uptight, that can kind of give us a clue for what our answer is going to be down here. If you're uptight, you're pretty serious and humorless, right? So even if you're not sure, you can use other questions to try to give you hints of what your answer might be, okay? It's all about like when you're taking tests, you're not, I mean, it's very unlikely that you're going to 100% know the answer to every single question, right? I took the ACT twice and the SAT 3 times, and I didn't know every single answer. But you can increase your chances of getting the right answer by doing some of these strategies like eliminating questions or eliminating answer choices that you know for sure are wrong, checking with other questions in the passage that might give you hints. Okay, D, what is the dominant literary device in the passage? Onomatopoeia, which is like words that sound like what they say, like bam, pow, crash. Personification, simile, rhyme, or none of the above. Yeah, rhyme. And so again, there won't be questions about rhyme on the final because we haven't talked about rhyme very much, but rhyme would be your correct answer, but this does give you an idea of the type of a question that you might have about a literary device, but the answer will always be one that we have talked about. And then letter C, what happens in the story after this song? So they leave Bilbo to clean up the mess. They take off for the Lonely Mountain. They watch Gandalf and Thorin have a smoke ring competition. They meet with Thorin and Gandalf to discuss whether Bilbo would make a suitable thief. So again, eliminate the ones that you know for sure are not correct. So is A correct? Definitely not, right? If you remember from the book, even from the clip of the song that we watched, they end up cleaning up everything, right? They take off for the Lonely Mountain. Do they leave for the Lonely Mountain right after this song? No, so we can eliminate that one. Do they watch Gandalf and Thorin have a smoke ring competition? Yes. Okay, so even if you can't remember that, it at least puts it down to 2 options, right? Like C or D, and then you've got a 50-50 shot. So just always make sure that you're taking your time eliminating those question answer choices that you know for sure are wrong, which gives you a better chance of having the right answer, okay? So this is what it'll look like. You'll have a passage, and then you'll have questions, and then you'll have a different passage with other questions. Each passage only has, I don't know, like 4 to 6 questions with it. So it's not 10 questions on one passage like this. It'll be a smaller amount of questions per passage, okay? So as you can see, you're not going to need your book because you're going to have the passage right in front of you, and anything else about, you know, what happens next or something like that will be kind of general enough that you don't need to have like your specific book in front of you to know what the answers are, okay? Any questions? So again, this is just for you. You don't have to turn this in. It's just for you to review. You're welcome to recycle it on your way out of class if you don't need it.